anyone wishes to speak during the general public comment session, there is a sign-up sheet on the table. I ask that you put your name, print your name and your address. That's for the general public comment session.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, pursuant to Public Laws 1975, Chapter 231. This agenda is complete to the extent known and was sent to the Trenton Times and the Trentonian newspapers, posted on the first floor bulletin board in City Hall, and filed in the City Clerk's office. Formal action will be taken. Roll call.
Mr. Blakely?
Present.
Ms. Caldwell-Wilson?
Present.
Mr. Harrison?
Present.
Mr. Michelle? Present. Mr. Rodriguez?
Present.
Ms. Vaughn?
Invitation of flag salute.
Please stand. Almighty God, who holds the fate of man and nation, we most humbly beseech thee to bless this our city, these deliberations, and these thy servants, that they may act with wisdom and understanding for the good of our community and thy greater glory. Amen. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Clerk, before we go into the minutes, I just want to make a real short statement. So I understand that several of you plan to speak at the public comment regarding the hiring of a police director. You need to know that this council is not responsible for interviewing anyone for this position. It is unethical for this body to use its influence in the hiring of anyone for a position with the city. Our only responsibility is when the mayor presents a candidate for advice and consent. You can't speak on it. Thank you.
just for the record, in the absence of Council President McBride, Councilwoman Caldwell-Wilson will be the chair for this meeting. First item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. The council would be so gracious to postpone that until the next meeting. I understand some of you may not have received those in your email.
I have the motion to postpone.
So moved.
Mr. Blakely?
Yes.
Mr. Harrison?
Yes.
Mr. Michelle?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
And Ms. Caldwell? Yes. Motion to continue until the next meeting. Next, for your consideration are 26 items of communications. There were 0 petitions and 1 report that was presented by the City Clerk's Office, which is the monthly revenue report for February 2019 for funds collected in the amount totaling $22,491.25. Is there a motion to accept the reports and communications? Mr. Blakely?
Yes.
Mr. Harrison?
Yes.
Mr. Michelle?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Caldwell?
Yes.
The minutes of communications of petitions have been, communications of reports have been accepted. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda items. There are no ordinances being presented for second reading and public hearing this evening. So if there's anyone that would like to speak at this time on the new business items only, which is the resolution number 19-157, 19-127, please come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record.
Madam President, the record that Councilwoman Lawrence.
Councilwoman Lauren. Seeing no one for comments on new business, next for governing body's consideration is the consent agenda, which will be resolutions 19-115 through 19-127. Is there a motion to accept the consent?
So moved. Second.
Ready for the vote?
Yes.
Mr. Blakely?
Yes.
Mr. Harrison?
Yes.
Mr. Michelle?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes.
Ms. Caldwell?
Yes.
And the consent agenda has been approved. There are no ordinances for introduction this evening, so the next item on the agenda is public comments. First on the list is Mr. Alex Bethea. Please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and please keep your comments to under 10 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. First, I'd like to say good evening to everyone. Councilwoman Caldwell, Chairman. Rev. Blakely, Joe Harrison, George Michelle, Mr. Santiago, Ms. Robin Vaughn. Good evening. I'd like to preface my comments with the fact that I have some letters here for you, some copies of the letters that I have written to the mayor, hand-delivered on Tuesday to his office, placed it in the hands of his secretary. CC copied you as well. At the end of my comments, I will pass this on to the clerk in order for each of you to have it. They're all the same. I didn't put your name on it, so you can recycle the envelope if you like. I also copied the chief of staff as well as the business administrator. My comments are around the next police director. And I wasn't here at your last meeting, but I had the good fortune of listening to the tapes. And I heard what was said by each of you. And I will make reference to those comments as I go along with my comments. Now, this is personal. I know Mr. John Day, and I know he is a Trenton, as we've been talking about. I spent 8 years on the council, and we talked about Trenton. Now we have an opportunity to get a person who is highly qualified. This is our opportunity, your opportunity, to select one of Trenton's own, the best. This is not just politics this time. This is the best. So I've been meeting with some other community people in support of this matter. I think they had a meeting yesterday. I didn't get a chance to read the papers yet, but there was a reflection of that meeting or that gathering that took place by some of the concerned ministers and some of the other concerned folk. And I've been meeting with some of the concerned residents myself. And some of them are here. I'd like for them to stand, if they don't mind, while I make my comments to you. Now, I've heard a lot of what was said, but I don't think this body wants to censor what the public has to say, regardless. Ms. Vaughn, I heard you say that last week on your tape. And I was also here at Tuesday's meeting where I heard you also say that we're looking for folk that are local. We don't have to go to California to get someone. Mr. John Day grew up in Trenton, graduated from Trenton Central High School, played sports there, grew up in one of the projects. It's getting ready to get warm. As you all know, we're going to need somebody at the public safety helm that knows the ropes, not trying to learn the ropes. We need somebody that already knows the streets of Trenton, that can be a role model for particularly some of our black and brown young men who commit many of our crimes. A person who is already well respected in this town. And I'm in support of this Mr. John Day, and I know that there's others, some of you who may not be supportive. And I'm saying that I'm being proactive. And I think I read somewhere in somebody's poster or flyer that we have to lift Trenton together. And I'm a part of that lifting and been doing it for some time, 40 years or better. And I'm still fighting, and I'm not going to give up. So we have support from the community. Like I said, I met with some of the people from the West Ward, concerned ministers, Mr. Reverend Harris, I don't know if he's here today, but these folks are in support. And we're letting you know. Because as you know, I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but you are the representative. And I know you said go to the mayor's office, and I've done that in writing. The mayor only has to listen to me once every 4 years. He has to listen to you daily, because he cannot get his agenda through unless he comes by you. There's nothing that he has to listen to me for, only during the time of voting. Now, that being said, Mr. Jarrell Blakely, I think you can take the lead role on this one, being proactive in this matter. All right, that Mr. Day grew up in your ward, went to school there, right there in Union 1. And I think you can be supportive of this young man. He's a fine young man, and he's ready for the job. And like I said, Robin, I heard what you said Tuesday, and I heard what you said last Thursday. And you are on point, because we want to be able to share our thoughts with this council, no matter what they are. And this time, I'm sharing that I think we have the right guy this time to lead our public safety department. Now, Mr. Blakely, I was at your meeting last Wednesday, and I heard you say, if you have someone that you want to go on the Board of Education, give it to you in writing, you can walk it down to the mayor's office. I'm not putting you on there. Marge Carl was there. Joe Harrison was there. They heard you. Some of the people here were there. So we have witness that you said that. Now, we know that the council has nothing to do with the appointments of board members. You don't give advice nor consent. But you do for a police director, and I'm giving it to you so you can go to the mayor and say, Mayor, we have our man this time. And you can do that. You take the lead role on this one. Because Mr. George Michelle does it all the time. He's proactive. He lets the mayor know which way he wants to go way out in advance. My hat's off to him for that. And most of the time, he gets his way. Most of the time. He doesn't wait until the day of and the mayor makes his presentation. You can let the mayor know before the presentation of who you want. Good example right there for the last two, before it happened. And you can do the same thing. Let the mayor know in advance. He understands where the power is. He knows. Now, if you give it to him, he will take it gladly. The power is in your hands. You determine who the next public safety director is going to be. The mayor only makes the presentation.
There you have 1 minute.
I'm just getting warm, Mr. All right. I'll try to bring this thing to some closure. I'll try to bring this to some closure. I got one to give me 30 seconds. They do the same thing at the Board of Education meeting, they cut me off. But it's okay. I understand, and I do respect your position. You have a tedious task. You're never going to make everybody happy. Been there, done that. Just do the best you can. But this time, we are asking, the community is asking that you be proactive and stepping forth and say to the mayor, Mr. John Day is our man this time. Thank you so much.
Your time is up. Thank you. Mr. Bethea, you're out of order. Please sit down.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, Mr. Deputy, I will not do that anymore.
Mr. Paul, say.
Proposed day 55 Alton Avenue. Thank you, cousin. Appreciate that. That guy is very qualified.
Mr. Bethea, please address the body.
I sure will. But that's fair. We had to say something. I had to say something. Look, I come before y'all again. Actually, y'all talking about solid waste. Listen, no one has to come to work to be forever. You know what I'm saying? Who wants to come to work all the time? You got to be afraid to do this and afraid to do that. Listen, we back home in the city. That's what y'all told us. That we know we are. We cleans the city good, but yet y'all still disrespect us. And once again, I say again, we catch every bug that God created. Whatever you throw out, we get some. But yet we the most When I come to work at 6:45 in the morning as a local 2286 vice president, I come to work, but yet my job is to hear the concerns of the people, the men. And that's all I hear the men tell me. We're doing our job, but yet we're being threatened. Why do I gotta come to work and be threatened? Why I just can't do my job? For number one, y'all gotta really understand that the garbage trucks that we have, it's not even fit to handle the capacity that's out there changing. We only pack it 5 tons. Central Jersey pack it 40 tons, 42 tons, 45 tons. Okay, the transfer station holds us up. The summer didn't even get hit yet, and yet we undermanned. We was at one time, when Don was there, we was at 94 staff. Now we're down to 34. Men getting hurt left and right. Men falling left and right. But yet, we the most disrespected. No one hears our cry. But I'm going to keep marching until somebody hears my cry. Every time I get up here to speak, I find something wrong with my car. I'm going to keep speaking until every car got up. I don't care. They ain't no vehicle. Next time you last time you put a nail in the tire, you told one truck, I don't mind. It don't mind. Because whatever you throw at me, God will take off with it. We the most disrespected. But yet we work the hardest. When other departments stay in, when it rains, snow, hell, we out in the element. But yet, we the most disrespected. We get written up for some of the most disrespectful things you can imagine. We had a contract, and our contract says, when a man gets done with the route, his right, that he can go home and rest for Tuesday. Yeah, y'all go against our contract. You want the man to stay there until 3:15 to help another man that ain't trying to go home to rest. Everybody listen to me. You put a season together by itself, and already he cracked his knee. Young kid, he should never be by himself. When you throw trash out there, he needs to go to class, because someone will run you over, kill you like a piece of, like they run over a cat. You got to be skillful out there, but yet no one trains us. We got to learn that ourselves. Even the Army trained in them before they sent them to war, but not the city of Trenton. The only thing they care about is that let's dog the garbage man. Once again, even Martin Luther King does, but yet the city of Trenton doesn't. I don't know why that we got to be stomped over so hard for us to get so respect, and we the one go in your backyard and pull up every element that it is, but yet we get threatened each and every day. And that's a shame how I gotta stand before y'all every time the council meeting, and I have to speak about this. When is someone going to hear my cry? If no one hears my cry, then I have to take it to the federal government. Then I'm going to take it to the civil rights movement. Because then, when I start moving like that, things will start happening. Everybody calls me the old troublemaker, but God said, you're doing my will. That's what God said. So I'm going to keep marching, man. And y'all got to listen. We got 1980 trucks. We got 3 brand new trucks, and already they tore up. So that lets you know whenever you think put steel in there and everything, we got to get it. You get matches to the public, y'all have told the public to wrap the matches, but yet the public still put it out. And if the men don't get it, the supervisor threaten them and tell them, if you don't get them right now. Come on now, what is this, man? Is this a slave camp or just a workplace? Come on, be for real. I mean, this is the workplace. Ain't nobody wants to be treated like that. I know I ain't, because I don't want to treat me like that. Because I'm going to do things right, and I'm going to save my time just in case I get sick. When you see me in City Hall, me and my vice president, me and my president is trying to fight this war with the administration about respecting our handbook. But the administration wants us to respect y'all laws, but y'all don't want to respect our laws. Come on, now, it goes two ways. That red light is out there for something, that everybody got to obey that red light. Everybody got to obey that red light, even police officers, fire department, everybody, governor, everybody got to respect that red light. It's nobody above the law, nobody. I don't care who you is. Everybody got to yield to the law. So I'm asking y'all, as an employee of solid waste, that I need y'all to come down. Take a ride with us on Tuesday. Matter of fact, I'm going to be one of the best drivers there is. Holly Clayton, that's here tonight. Worked with 21, 1980 truck. Did 3 times. And yet he got to go way down, pick up downtown. But yet, they threatened him with that. They threatened him. One month to go 45 streets all by itself. Both sides. But you don't want the man to go home and rest. These guys are tired. When is someone here going to give up that? Serious. We need help. Until we get the men, we fall like flies. We had 10 guys fall out today. 10 tired from yesterday, from out in South Trenton. South Trenton is heavy. You got like 10 people in one house. So you're picking up like 7 or 8 bags in one house. Thick, heavy bags. Tallest stools we throw in there. Metal we throw in there. Anything that you make, we throw in there. Feces. When feces that came back and splattered on us, we do that. We have no way to change our clothes. We take this stuff home to our families. We ain't got no way we can wash our clothes and go out. Right now, other departments are right now, it's in there. When it rains, thank you. When it rains, we was out in the elevator. You give me 1 minute on that, but give me 20 minutes to ride that garbage truck and sit it back and let me show you what we go through, how we fight so hard. I go before me and my president, the first lady, go before the director. He not hear my cry. I have begged of him. He not hear my cry. He moves on like he ate me. You have to keep his heart at heart. Satan doesn't harden his heart. So we hear not what I say. If your heart is hardened, you can't hear the blessing from God. And I'm trying to reason him. He had my president say hi to him. He looked at him like, no respect, I don't respect. Who does that? God bless you.
Mike Smith. Good evening.
I'd just like to really add on to almost some message points that I just want to bring up today. I want to bring up I had each and every council member a piece of paper of mine that I was sorting that for. The thing I want to bring up that these things are problematic in the city that goes hand in hand with having a good police director that knows the city, knows the streets, knows the people, knows the residents, who actually knows how to get in touch with people. Also with, like I'm out there in this things. And, yeah, I'm just pushing for certain problems in our area, like certain bar establishments. They need to be shut down. But one establishment that I'm talking about, excuse me, that one Martinez or the bar, which is on Clinton Fort, which is on 420 North Clinton Avenue. Just about every week, you have to have at least 10 units down there because the crowd doesn't know how to control themselves. That takes away from shootings in the city, robberies that may occur, other important calls that the officers can be on. I mean, this establishment has had numerous claims of violations in it. The owners, they make it unsafe. They sell alcohol after hours. These are things that I witness. There's people that I work with witnesses. Thinkers there that don't want no trouble witness. There's people that work here or whatever witness. But a lot of people aren't even strange to say anything due to a lot of people live in the city. They have families and children that go to schools in the city. So they're under restraint. So I'm one here to ask, on behalf of everybody, let's shut these problematic places down. Let's get a good director in place, someone that knows the city. I personally will work hand in hand with it as I work with y'all. I have no problem working with law enforcement. They know it. I don't like the problems that occur in my city. A lot of them don't have to be. Especially, like I said, that place, Martinez. It definitely needs to be shut down. We have another problem over there on Brunswick, but it's kind of containable. It's not out of control as that one. And I'm commend y'all for shutting that other one down, Donovan and Brunswick, which was definitely a problem. I thank you for that. That was causing problems with us, street, eliminated bar. Since you have done that, man, it's been eliminated the crowd so much that y'all walk over there, you will see it's practically blank. So I'm pretty asking y'all, hey, y'all do a tremendous job, the officers. I'm just appealing one more time to shut this one down. But y'all done this work so far. It's done excellent work. You see, now the calls over there since you shut it down. So that's definitely an answer to shut this area down. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else that desires to address the governing body at this time? Please come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Please keep your comments no less than 10 minutes.
My name is Ellison McCall, born here in McKinley Hospital in the great city of Trenton. Not just plain Trenton, Trenton is anything. That's you up there, throw anything. Other people wait from Trenton. But the city of Trenton is trying to turn their hands around and accept something. We don't have it. A lot of things in these jobs where people come in, the way I was taught. I had a bank account down there, Trenton Savings Bank. I don't know if you've never been in Trenton Savings Bank since I was in 3rd grade. We went down there to class. Everybody had to put $1 in the bank account. We were taught, do business where you live at, take care of people that live in this city. Everything that changed around. You give it, you got your hand, Trent got your hand out. Give it. Not receiving. The city's been not still receiving. Start giving everything. First of all, this is a bipartisan government, not Democrat or Republican. It's bipartisan. It's government. These jobs on favoritism, where they don't know what they're doing, have to stop. I watched the guys clean the line up, full of trash. Not full of trash, 5 guys. You know they had little paper pickers. How you cleaning a big line with paper pickers? And the guy was bad. Who taught you how to do a job? What is you doing? 5 men with paper pickers like the biggest strawberries up on the ground with all this trash around this whole big lot. Who taught you that? Wear some brakes and some gloves and some shovels in. Who is the supervisor needs to be fired. To give somebody some equipment like that to clean some of it, needs to get rid of it. See, this is the politics in this city that got it down on the bottom. It needs to stop, and it's been going on for quite a while. Not only here, for education too. Jobs, they're the same way. Come from somewhere else. I didn't experience my boss got mad at me because I wasn't teaching the job. They had to go to land and they looked down here. Got mad at me, wasn't teaching me. Next one, brought a secretary, gave her a job. Over 20-something years since I had experience. What do you interview? Politics got it down. Politics got the safety at a low point where it's dangerous. Cars going up and down the street, 70, 80 miles an hour, just flying past people. How do you want to run a city like this? Cars going up and down the street, 70 miles an hour. Nobody's saying that, nobody's doing that. Look up, 3 police cars down on the state road, all day long. Who did you get a ticket at down there? Who would get a ticket on state road? These cars running all around trying to go 70, 80 miles an hour down the street. Who running the police department? The reason why you do that? Because the first thing is you don't live here. You ain't got no family here. You don't care nothing about here. All you want is a check. What is a check? You ain't got no family going across the street. No wife and grandkids going on the way. You don't care nothing about the cars going 70, 80 miles down the street. If I had it rated from 10, I would probably go out to a 3. Take 5 points away because you don't want to live around. Why you want to work around? You don't want to live around. That's 5 points there. We're down to 5. 2, you don't want to walk. You got to take 2 more points because you don't want to walk the beach. So we're down to 3 there. Give somebody something from here. Stop the politics.
Anyone else? Seeing none, is there a motion to close the public?
So moved.
Second.
Good evening, everybody. I don't know if you title, so I'll just say good evening. My name is George, and I'm originally from Birmingham, Alabama. I have several questions concerning the great city of Trenton. I would like to know, we have a Democratic governor, and everybody came and said, vote for Murphy. We had Christian before Murphy. Christian had the city locked down to where you have to go through community service to hire people and control the money. Well, now that we got a Democratic governor, we got a Democratic in charge of the county, why is it that we can't be free and get off this plantation and run our city ourselves, the people that live here? Because the people that's calling the shots in Trenton does not live in the city of Trenton. So I'm asking the mayor, the city council, the county executive, or whoever the power may be, to see if they can talk to Governor Murphy to lift that so that we don't have to hear, we don't have enough manpower. We can't hire anybody. We don't have any money. Because I noticed that tax cut that Donald Trump just gave all those billionaires. I'm quite sure if we could reach out to some of those billionaires and tell them our situation, they should want to give some of that money to the city of Trenton because they don't want the people of Trenton in their city. So they should be glad to give us some money to straighten our city out. And there's one other thing. Every morning these stores in Trenton open up with all this trash around the stores. Not in the streets, but around the store. I asked them, why is it that they are allowed to do that? And I was told, we don't have enough manpower to enforce it, to see that everything is cleaned up. So what I would like for y'all to do, instead of bringing us excuses, please bring us some results. Thank you.
Councilman Blake?
There's a motion to close the public comments by Mr. Blakey, seconded by Mr. Harris. Mr. Blakey?
Yes.
Mr. Harris? Yes. Mr. Michelle?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes.
And Ms. Caldwell Wilson? Yes. Prior to the public or the civic comments, the business administrator presented two additional resolutions that he is asking the governing body to consider. One is a resolution authorizing a 4-month extension of the contract issued to Brick Global Specialty USA, Lloyd's of London, for general liability workers' compensation and auto coverage for the city of Trenton from March 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2019, in an amount not to exceed $213,976. And the second is an extension of the contract awarded to Boynton & Boynton Alliance Insurance Services to continue coverage for property insurance, auto lot coverage, fire and liability bond for the city of Trenton from March 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2019, in an amount not to exceed $90,203.61. Do not leave the building bond.
Mr. Harris, first of all, we should have had this prior to the start of the meeting. We should have had a discussion on this, and Mr. Cruz, you were supposed to get back to me to see that we had to go for 4 months extension on this. I understand that we have to get the city broker in place, and I understand the reason for the extension that we're asking for. They're not. But this, I need you to come up and explain it to this body.
Good evening, Council, Madam President, Chair. So the reason of me coming in front of the Council to make a special, making a special request is actually because the coverage for excess liability for the city is actually coming to, it's going to expire at the end of March. The reason why that is happening is because we had a really tough time getting one of the insurance providers to accept extending the contract a little beyond. I'll give you a little history so that you understand what happened. A couple of years ago, the city adopted a resolution awarding contracts for the insurance companies to provide the coverage, and unfortunately, the city should have had in the process. DCA requested that the city have their own brokers and not the brokers provided by the insurance carriers, because I guess the best practice would be that a broker that the city hired, who represent the city better than a broker that is being brought in by the insurance carrier. And so a resolution, an ordinance was passed where the city is now required that we get a broker that represents the city to help us acquire the services of the service providers, insurance providers. And so, as I mentioned, one of the insurance companies had a tough time accepting that until they finally accepted that they will give us the extension. The extension time is actually so that we can acquire the services of the broker, give the broker enough time for them to go out in the market and request quotes for the city. And the new contract, we are expecting that a new contract will be in place in front of this council actually for a vote in June, and to begin the coverage July 1st. And that is the reason why it's being brought to you. Not that I wanted to sucker punch the council. That's not my style. I rather, that's the reason why I reached out to the Madam Chair. to explain to her the situation before I brought this to the council. And this is no disrespect for me trying to pull a fast one on any of you. And so that is the reason why I come before you today. The next opportunity that we have to pass this resolutions, two resolutions, is actually the April 4th. But then that leaves the city with a window of exposure for 4 days. And I don't want to take that chance. So that's the reason why I come before you tonight.
Thank you. And I'm going to allow my colleagues, since this is a walk-on, if you can keep it short, if you have any questions on this.
No.
Councilman Santiago.
Mr. Cruz, I'd like to know when did you find out about this?
I would probably say probably about a month ago, because I know that from coming from another town that has brokers representing the city, I knew that there was something, some type of legislation or something that required that municipalities have their own brokers. And so I started to inquire, and as I inquired, you know, the fact was that the city had passed that resolution requiring that the city had their own broker. So it was very little time that we had to actually act on this. Not enough time to acquire the services of the broker before the contract expired.
Well, I'm saying, not enough time to write this resolution so that we can have it Tuesday. We met Tuesday.
Yes, but it was asked that I walk it in today. So that's the reason why.
The central fact is they don't want the city not covered with any liability insurance. Councilwoman Khan.
Thank you, President, Vice President, Chair, Caldwell Wilson. Here we go again. And I'm not, pointing a finger at you, Mr. Cruz. However, I feel like this is deja vu again, or Groundhog's Day. It just keeps happening over and over again, where the administration appears to always at the 11th hour, attempting to complete, very important tasks or steps that lead up to very important deliverables, right? That impact our residents and our taxpayers. It causes us to get into precarious situations whereby we don't get the opportunity to get the most favorable rates, the most favorable contracts. This is what happens when you do, fight fires and you do fly-by-night management, right, or reactive management instead of proactive management. And I just want your comments on how are you going to start managing our city to the point where we start managing responsibly, efficiently, effectively, right? All those nice little terms that we all learn in managerial school, I suppose. And you're the leader, you're the administrator, you're the executive of these type of processes. You need to sit down with all these directors here, huddle with them. I don't know if you guys have a weekly meeting or whatever, and kind of reinforce what their job is. And their job is to effectively and efficiently manage the city. And also not to bring, in effect, not to bring in the 11th hour, critical decisions.
Councilwoman, I opened it up to see if we had any questions on these resolutions. That we do, City Council.
So the question is, how are you going to, in the future, prevent this type of 11th hour management?
As the council, Madam Chair, as the council may be aware, during my tenure here for the last 3 months, this is actually the first time that I walk something. I respect the rules of the council. I am aware, what the requirements are. Unfortunately, this is something, as I mentioned, 2 months into my tenure is when I discovered that this was actually going to take place, and we needed to take action with making sure that the city was in compliance with having a broker on our side and not on the side of the carrier. So, am I taking the proper steps? I would like to think that I am, because I could have looked the other way and just award the contract without having to look for a broker and just say, I wasn't aware. But I am actually, trying to do my best as I discover things to mitigate the issues to the best of my ability and best practices. So I hope that this will not be as repetitive as it sounds. As I mentioned, this is actually my first time coming before council making this request. And the only reason why I am doing this is because there will be exposure to the city for days that I do not want to take that liability on.
Okay. I just want to clarify. So, the reason why I asked that question, because it has happened, right? Last 2 council sessions, we were faced with the same issue from another department. It was the Henry Austin, health and director.
Health and Human Services?
Yes. The Henry Austin facility, they came in 11th resolution. And again, pushed council up against the wall. We didn't get a chance to review, or all of a sudden we're responsible because they were telling us, oh, if you don't, approve this resolution, then, a lot of the citizens are going to be impacted, right? Deny critical health services. See, it's just repetitive, that's all. It's a repeat, and you're the business administrator, so that was on your watch, okay? So to come to this council and say, oh, this is my first time, and I'm not going to do it again. Well, yeah, it has happened on your watch. We hold you accountable. You see that the head is on your watch, so we expect better of you, Mr. Cruz.
I wasn't saying that.
That's all I have.
Just a
That's all I
second.
have.
Mr. Cruz, so Councilwoman, in defense of Mr. Cruz, there were certain resolutions that they didn't want to push on the agenda at the last minute, and he withdrew them because we said we are not doing that anymore. And I believe the only reason he is bringing this to us is because this is sort of borderline on an emergency. So, thank you, Mr. Cruz. Mr. Harris, would you take care of the business there?
So first, for your consideration, will be known as Resolution 128, again, which is a 4-month extension of a contract issued to Brick Global Specialty USA, Lloyd's of London, to continue coverage for general liability, workers' compensation, and auto coverage for the city of Trenton from March 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2019, in an amount not to exceed $213,976. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Ready for the vote? Mr. Blakely?
Yes.
Mr. Harrison?
Yes.
Mr. Michelle?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Abstain.
Ms. Caldwell-Wilson?
Yes.
Resolution 128. Okay. And next for your consideration will be known as Resolution 129, which is a resolution authorizing a 4-month extension of the contract awarded to Boynton & Boynton Alliance Insurance Services Incorporated to continue coverage for property insurance, auto lot coverage, fine arts, and fidelity bond for the city of Trenton from March 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2019, in an amount not to exceed $90,203.61. Is there a motion?
Second.
Ready for the vote?
Yes.
Mr. Blakely?
Yes.
Mr. Harrison? Mr. Michelle?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes.
Ms. Caldwell-Wilson?
Yes.
And Resolution 129. Next on the agenda is civic comments.
Councilman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I thank everyone for coming to this council meeting this evening. I'd like to spend some time to talk about a subject that many people have come to the podium to discuss, the issue of the police director. I want folks to understand the process so that there's no misunderstandings about the process. The mayor is charged with selecting a nominee. There is no process etched in stone of what that process would look like. So he could have an interview panel, he could have picked the names out of the hat. It's all up to the mayor to select a nominee. On this council, we have no statutory process or part of that process in terms of selecting who the nominee is. Where council comes in is after the mayor selects his nominee through whatever process that he feels is suitable. It comes to council, and then we give advice and consent to the mayor's nominee. Right now, there's no mayor's nominee. Now, I will say that I have shared my opinions with the mayor in terms of the qualities that I'm looking for a police director. And I hope that he takes those suggestions under consideration. But I would implore people who are interested in selecting or having a potential candidate, be it Mr. Day or anybody in particular, that you go to the person who is responsible for making that determination. Because this council has no role in the process until the nominee is selected. And so I understand why people are coming to council, but I think it's important to reiterate again that the record reflects that you go to the mayor. Now, if Mr. Day or anybody is selected, once it's in our court, then please come to the podium and give us your unvarnished opinion. But to do that now is not part of the process. It's not helpful because we are not considering anybody, because quite frankly, there's no nominee to consider. And until that nominee is presented by the mayor, any involvement with us, other than us giving advice, is premature. So I respect and appreciate your insight, and I have shared my opinions with the mayor and the staff on the qualities that I think would be nice to have in a police director. And one of those qualities is an understanding and an appreciation of the city of Trenton, of the unique nature of the city of Trenton. So I thank you all for coming. I appreciate the people who attended my meeting yesterday. I appreciate Councilman Harrison, Councilman Rodriguez attending my community meeting in the East Ward, and I will be announcing a date for my community meeting in the North Ward for next month. As I mentioned previously, all of my colleagues are invited to attend, and I look forward to these meetings as an opportunity to engage with the public. Thank you very much. Have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you all in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Harrison.
I want to let everybody know there's 2 things going on this weekend. We still have registration at the Chambersburg Little League. It's age 4 to 12. There's financial aid available. It's Saturday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Telephone number 609-310-5030. And then also on Sunday, there's a cleanup at Columbus Park. And at 10 a.m., we're cleaning up the park. It's a park that a lot of kids use, so we want to clean up the park so we can get ready for summer. Thank you.
Councilman Michelle.
Yes. For the VA, you came to the body and asked for the vote to get these 2 resolutions through. And we did help you out with that tonight. I just want to know if you took care of my problem when I asked you Tuesday concerning the fire department. If If you got the information, very important, along with the fire director, with starting a new class, which is very important because the overtime is going to the roof. If they can start doing background checks and prepare for another class, so we don't go into summertime, and which puts a lot more overtime on the city budget. I just want to know if that was an emergency to me and to the firemen. I just want to know if you did your job to get me this information along with the fire director.
Yes, Madam Chair, so it's an internal conversation that we have been having, administration, the fire director, and ECA, because of differences of opinion that have to now be vetted through some experts, and we're in the process of going to the next step. As far as your request, Councilman, we have not moved on it because, as I mentioned, there are many moving parts, and we cannot make a decision at this time.
Who is holding this up? Because this is costing taxpayers money. Overtime is going to go through the roof. It's already starting, and it's going to be a plain game. Is it DCA? Who may it be? If I can get involved or council can get involved in this?
There is something that the CA has been showing the city for the last probably year or two. They have some concerns, and we need to address those concerns first before we can move forward with making any more decisions in hiring another class at this time.
I accept that, but I don't accept if we're going to come out and close firehouses and do brownouts. I don't think it's going to be acceptable to this body, if it's even mentioned. If it's even mentioned.
Yeah, at this time, those are not the plans of this administration, Councilman. That brownouts are not on the table at this time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilman Senator.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming. I have to say a few words about the resolution that Councilwoman Vaughn mentioned regarding the everyday Austin and the Department of Health. Up to last night, we were, one of us that voted against it. We were chastised to last night in public. We were called irresponsible for voting against the resolution, although the resolution was not totally legal. Somebody forgot to go to DCA with the issue. So they brought it here, so that we could do, like we did tonight, make an exception. I'm not used to make exceptions. I believe that we should get the resolution here in time and properly approved by DCA or whoever has to approve them prior to coming in. It's been a little bit over 9 months since this new administration and this council took over. It's not yesterday. Don't say, oh, well, that was the class administration. No, that's too late. It's too late now. You could have used that as an excuse back 6, 7 months ago, but not anymore. I will appreciate if any resolution, anything, the director deal with it, have the proper personnel deal with it, and bring it to us correctly. These resolutions, I don't even have a copy of it. They were copies. Thank you. I don't need any answers. Thank you very much.
Council.
Madam President, can I just make a record, just for the record, a comment? Yes. The resolutions that I brought in tonight are actually, were approved by DCA. The resolution that perhaps the councilman is referring to is probably the contract award that was done in the past. Councilman, those once a DCA approves those contracts once, and it's a repetitive contract, you don't have to DCA for those approvals. So there was no need to have that contract approved by DCA the last time, because sometime during the time that the city has been under review or oversight, I guess the administration went to DCA for that approval, and it was approved. So if this new contract comes again, it doesn't have to be approved by DCA. The approval that I have today is actually for the broker, and that's because the broker hasn't been approved by DCA in the past.
Okay. Thank you. Councilwoman.
Thank you. I just want to get some follow-up from the mayor's office and also the administrator on some of the questions I've been having, and clearly other folks employed in the city have been having concerns around, the labor and a lack of resources. It appears there's a lack of resources at the fire department, we have a resource issue per Mr. Bethea in the sanitation department. It just appears across the board we have a resourcing issue, and we don't have adequate personnel to be able to deliver the services to our residents. So I think that's an issue that the administration should take seriously, and I hope you guys are taking notes and taking it back to your respective departments and leaders to get addressed. I know that we are waiting to adopt a budget, and that's a big contingency or dependency that you all have, but we can't continue operating in this manner where every time we come to a council meeting, we got department heads or employees in the divisions who are complaining to our public that they're not able to do their job because they're inadequately resourced. So I have a quick question for the mayor office, if anybody is here, regarding, I have put in a request to report.
Councilwoman, you have to go through Mr. Cruz.
Yes, okay, so, so Mr. Cruz, I put a request to I sent an email out, as I usually do, requesting a report from Human Resources regarding a list of our employees, who they are, where they live, the address, the town and the city, and the number of years they've been employed in the city. Okay, because I want to make sure that we are adhering and we are in compliance with our residency laws, and that we are hiring local. Okay? So I just want to make sure that we are constantly reviewing our operations, and that all the department heads are hiring Trenton. And that's what we have present in this establishment to date. So can you give me a time frame of when I can expect to see that report?
I'm going to look into it, Madam Chair. The issue is that there's information there in your request, Councilwoman, that I don't think can be made public. So I will check as to the information that could be forwarded to the council, and I will make it available as early as I can once I clear it.
What information that can be made public? That's private information. I know. I'm not asking for a social security number, right? So excluding social security number, any type of identifier of that nature. I'm not asking for EIN numbers, tax numbers, or anything of that nature. So the information I'm asking, and I'm smart enough and intelligent to know about private information. So again, please let me know when you can get that report. And you're only asking for the employee name, the telephone, the address, town and city, and the number of years they've been employed. There's nothing that goes against the privacy laws that you cannot get us that report. If you do not give me that report, as I requested, I will open it, okay? So my next question is, that's all I have, that's my statement, okay? Now, the next question I have is for the water utility. Regarding, last on Tuesday, or last session, you mentioned that department is under-resourced. And I was fortunate to speak or be at that function, and I met a couple of gentlemen who used to manage the sewer department. And they were aware of some of the comments that were made here, and they said they were highly inaccurate. That's the issue at the sewer department. The reason why a lot of that we source consistently emergency contracts is because the sewer department is currently it's under-resourced. It's operating with one crew. And the crew, they say, usually consists of 5 to 6 men. And usually, at optimal resource levels, you should have 3 crews. And that's what they had in the past. During the Palmer administration, during the half of the Tony Mack administration, and they said since then, pretty much it's been operating with 1 crew, and the strategy, or the managerial strategy over the sewer department has been to always and always source 2 emergency contracts. Now, I just wanted verification that, what is the number of crews that you have supporting the sewer department?
I don't have that information, so I can't do.
So you can give me that information though. So I'm asking for verification. Okay? Thank you.
So first of all, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight, and I do appreciate your courtesy at the podium, showing respect for this meeting. I want to thank Councilman Blakely for explaining the process that the mayor goes through with the directors being interviewed. But I can't stress enough that I, for one, know that it is totally unethical. And Mr. Bethea, you should know this, for a council person or an elected official to use their position to influence hiring anybody. I've had to express to the mayor the qualities that I would like to see in a police director, but I will not try to influence the mayor in hiring a specific person. My responsibility steps up to the plate when the mayor presents us with a candidate, and we have to vote on advice and consent. So I would hope that you would understand that, and I hope you appreciate the handouts we gave tonight to show you the process for the public comment. I hope that's helpful. So thank you all again.